Yes, Noah, it's very cool, but it's not magic. It's science. Next, I'll teach you the stride measure technique. It's a way to measure distance using your stride length. It's suitable for when there's a direct path between your starting point and the point you're measuring. As she spoke, Victoria looked Noah up and down. Noah raised an eyebrow. What is it? You're about 6'3" tall, so your stride length should be around 5 feet. Count how many strides it takes to get from the starting point to the target, then multiply by 5 feet to get the distance. However, when walking, you need to face directly towards the endpoint you're measuring and walk in a straight line. Keep your strides even. If you encounter uneven ground, adjust your stride appropriately to avoid large deviations. Noah laughed. Oh, okay, that's great. So you're saying I won't need a ruler wherever I go? My feet are the best rulers. Suddenly, he noticed some feathers in the bushes not far away. Taking a closer look, he saw a pheasant nest hidden in the shrubs. To repay you for your teachings, how about I treat you to some nice chicken for lunch? Without waiting for Victoria's answer, Noah quickly ran over. Victoria glanced in the direction Noah ran and also noticed the feathers. A smile tugged at her mouth before she caught herself. Then her expression clouded, and she lowered her head. Before long, Noah returned with a plump pheasant in hand. We're in luck. Let's find a place with water to clean it properly. Roasted meat is too tough. It's better to stew it for a fresher, sweeter taste. Victoria nodded, looking around. Very well. I'll also take this chance to teach you how to find water. Great, thanks. Victoria gave Noah a deep look, the complex emotions in her eyes making him feel uncomfortable. She then shifted her gaze forward. Finding water in the jungle comes down to listening, smelling, and looking. Rely on your keen sense of hearing and pay attention to whether there are sounds of mountain streams or waterfalls flowing at the foot of the mountains, in the mountain gullies, by cliffs, in basins, or in valley bottoms. Listen for croaking frogs and the calls of water birds. She continued walking. If you hear these sounds, it means you're not far from a water source, and more importantly, it proves the water is flowing and drinkable. But be especially careful not to mistake the rustling of leaves blown by the wind for the sound of running water. Noah nodded. He had been hunting since childhood, and he naturally knew some ways to find water, but he had never summarized those techniques in such an articulate manner. Hearing Victoria's words gave him a feeling of confidence. This was a lesson he was already familiar with. Next is smell. Try to detect a damp scent, or the earthy, fishy smell of soil, and the scent of aquatic plants carried over by the wind. Then, follow the direction of the smell to find the water source. Of course, this requires some experience. Victoria paused, scanning the area. Last, sight. It means observing animals, plants, weather, climate, and geographical environment. For example, there is often groundwater at the foot of mountains and low-lying areas in places where rainwater collects, and downstream of reservoirs where the groundwater level is high. Water is also found under dry riverbeds and at the lowest point on a river bend. But there's more silt, so it needs to be purified before drinking. Noah listened attentively and sniffed hard. Looking around, he saw nothing but woods, but he did notice an earthy smell in the air. He immediately pointed in that direction. There should be water over there. Am I right? Victoria nodded. She walked towards where the water was and continued her lesson. In the hot summer, places where the ground has been sunbaked for a long time but still the soil isn't dry or hot have an even higher groundwater level. In the cold winter, when there's frost in the cracks on the ground surface, the groundwater level is also relatively high. Places where cattails, sandbar willows, morning glories, black-eyed Susans, and horseradish grow have a higher water level and better water quality. Places where saltbush, reed, and cockleburr grow also have groundwater, but the water quality is poor with a bitter or pungent taste. She continued. Where summer mosquitoes gather and fly in a cylindrical shape, there must be water. Places where frogs, big ants, and snails live also have water. Also, the root swallows fly, and where they gather mud to build nests are placed with water sources and high groundwater levels. Quails fly towards water in the evening and away from water in the morning. Flocks of pigeons fly toward water sources in the morning and evening. These are also bases for judging water sources. Noah held up a hand. Whoa, slow down. He was clearly overwhelmed by the amount of knowledge Victoria was imparting. His prior hunting experience provided some relative insights, but it had been far from comprehensive or systematic. As he listened to Victoria's words and combined them with what he already knew, everything suddenly clicked into place. But Victoria's lesson was not done. Wherever you spot a rainbow in the sky, there's bound to be rain. In valleys perpetually shrouded in thick fog, there's sure to be a water source. Collecting dewdrops and drinking them can also do the trick in emergencies. You can even extract water directly from plants like wild bananas, wild kudzu, grapevines, and kiwi vines. In early spring, when trees are about to bud, you can also obtain drinking water from the trunks and branches of elms, mountain elms, and other hardwoods. She raised a finger in warning. Word of caution. Never drink the sap of vines, shrubs, or trees that contain milky fluid. It's poisonous. You can also get water from cacti and cactus fruits. They're rich in moisture content. Victoria stopped when she realized they had arrived at a creek. She gazed at the gently flowing mountain spring. You need to be careful with drinking water in the wild. Generally, you should put water purification tablets in your water container or use medical iodine, bleach, or vinegar to disinfect the water. If you don't have any of these, boiling water for 5 minutes is an excellent disinfection method. If the water you find is salty, boil it with pepperwort to prevent stomach problems. The mountain spring here is excellent. You can drink it directly after purifying it with your helmet. She used her helmet to scoop up some water. After drinking a bit, Noah quickly kneaded some yellow clay and smeared it on the pheasant. They found a clean spot, gathered some firewood, and Noah ignited the campfire using the technique Victoria had taught him. He dug a pit, buried the pheasant, and moved the campfire over it. Dusting off his hands, he grinned. "All right, dinner will be served in about 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah, okay. Next, I'll teach you sniping techniques. Listen closely." Noah looked at Victoria, unease rising within him. He couldn't understand why she was in such a hurry to impart her skills. They still had over a week's journey ahead. Plenty of time. What was Victoria hiding from him? Are you okay?
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.